had a deep experience yesterday. I got this flood of emotion, this kind of like psychic fear that I would die today. I was writing a song, and that feeling when someone dies, it's so final and it's so heartbreaking. All the things left unsaid, all the things left undone. And I've had that grief about my own life, imagining what if today was my day to die? And this was yesterday, so I thought, I only have 24 hours. And everything became so much more sensitive and enlivening, my relationships and my breath. And I had this urge to share. So this is just the first day of a 30-day experiment of me processing my thoughts and emotions on camera for you to enjoy, I hope, because I want deeply to serve the world. So I've always been into activism. I grew up in a Catholic church and service, community service, also with the Boy Scouts. I was a Boy Scout and I'm an Eagle Scout. Community service was just kind of the religion, the real religion that I ascribed to. I never bought into the ideologies necessarily, but the service. I have a clear memory of serving sandwiches to like a motel where homeless or semi-homeless people were staying like on a week-to-week basis, and seeing like 8 people to a motel room as a little kid and serving them sandwiches really woke me up to the disparity of wealth and injustice in our society. And it's always kind of been in the back of my mind that like, we're not gonna be okay until everyone's okay. And then fast forward, I was 24 or 25 in 2011, and I had a spiritual experience during the Occupy protest. And what I mean by spiritual experience is that I got a sense of a new sensory experience. So they say we have 5 senses: taste, touch, smell, sight, and hearing. But we also have feeling. And that is essentially something I got awakened to, because suddenly I had so much more feeling, especially in my heart, so much more capacity for feeling, intense joy, intense connection, intense sense of meaning and purpose and vision for the future. I was certain that my life was bigger than myself, that I was connected to the universe, that justice and goodness would win in the end, and that I was everyone around me, that I was the police officers arresting people, that I was my fellow protesters, that I was the homeless people who were just trying to sleep, that I didn't really exist, but I was everyone else. I don't know why that happened, but it happened. So I did some Googling, went on some meditation retreats, and I had this intuition. And they say that if you think you're enlightened, go live with your parents. And I didn't hear that saying, but intuitively I did that because I felt very ungrounded and I needed to remember who I was. So I went and sold all my things, went with the backpack. My sister gave me her car, thank you, Jess. And I drove back east, and my plan was just to live in the car and eat out of dumpsters and just trust the universe to live. Work on farms for food and maybe inherit land someday, but just to like trust the earth and live on the earth. And over the next couple of years, I fell back into some old patterns, as we're wont to do, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so I did that. I took my 1 step back. I got engaged, and that was kind of an old pattern of codependency, of fear of being alone. And even though I was like madly in love, what I considered to be love at the time, I was not really grounded still. I had these ideas about the way the universe was, but I didn't really have that embodied wisdom, that knowing of what was going on inside of me, nor did I have the courage to speak what was true for me. And that would take a lot longer. That came when I was dumped by my fiance, God bless it, and I knew that I needed healing from my breakup. And so I was in crisis, and I knew I needed therapy, but I knew therapy was too expensive, so I reached out to a friend. I was like, hey bud, do you know anyone in Boulder who can help me? And he said, I got just the thing. Check out this men's circle. So I go to this men's circle and I see men of all ages, but mostly older than me, men in their 40s and 50s, 60s and 70s and 80s. And the amount of clarity and honesty and vulnerability that they were bringing to this group just shocked me, because I had never heard anyone, let alone an older man, speak with such vulnerability and honesty about their struggles in life. When I say struggles in life, I mean like the death of a spouse or a divorce or the death of their child. Like the most heart-wrenching insecurity and grief, suicide ideation, all of these dark things. And here was a circle of men just speaking their hearts in a safe, supportive container. And it was profound, nothing I'd ever seen. And I loved it. And so I kept going and gradually started taking away my layers of dishonesty and self-deception and got to know myself better. And there's nothing like that, to know myself. I think it was Plato who said, know thyself. Some like ancient Greek or Roman, know thyself. And so that's what the men's circle helped me do. Watching other men discern what's true for them is a great modeling and a mirror for me to learn how to discern what's true for me. My group leader says, in a men's circle, when one man does his work, we all do our work. And that's because we're a collective and we come up in the same society. And we, a lot of times, struggle with the same issues and struggles. And so hearing another man's struggle can really reflect and help me process my own struggle. So my men's circle was kind of tangentially associated with the Mankind Project, which has been around from the 80s, providing men with initiation experiences. And they're looking at humanity from this experience of, we used to have really strong communities or tribes. And in those communities and tribes, there were rites of passage, initiations, where a boy turned into a man or a girl turned into a woman. And specifically talking about boys and men, we really lost those rites of passage. We don't have these strong delineations of you were a boy and now you are a man. And the result of that is that we have a lot of man boys. We have a lot of men who are still coping with their mother issues, are still inhabiting adolescent sexuality. We're like fixating and fantasizing on these material gains that come from insecurity, that come from a childhood mentality. So the purpose of an initiation, such as the Mankind Project puts on, is to take the boy, the psychic of a boy, because they only work with mostly people over 18, the psyche of a boy mentality, and drawing a distinct line and a bridge crossing, if you will, into a psychic of a man. And what does it mean to be a man? That's the question. What does it mean to embody healthy masculinity and healthy femininity in a male body? And the reason that this is an important question to ask in our culture is that there's an awakening asking this question for men and women and non-binary people. What does it mean to be me, however I identify? And as someone who identifies as a man, there hasn't been a lot of strong answers. We see glimpses of it in this hero, that celebrity, and this role model, and that mentor. Where do I get to practice that? And where do I get to get that challenged? I can appreciate and I can embody clarity for the values that it brings, right? They say word is bond, or a man is only good as his word. And what does that mean? Well, accountability. Do I say what I'm going to do and then do I do it? Or do I avoid commitment because I know deep down that I'm not actually capable of holding my agreements with myself or other people? These are really deep, deep questions. And the thing that gets in the way of my integrity and my healthy masculinity is my shadow. And the shadow is this psychological concept of my subconscious. Things that I'm not even aware of. The way that I act in the world, the way that I harm relationships, the way that I think negatively of myself. All of these things that I'm not aware of that are ultimately undermining my quality of life, my wellness. And for instance, like I might say that, let's say I have an eating disorder or where I binge and purge, right? That's like a symptom of the deeper problem. And so the deeper problem is the shadow, the thing that I don't even know that's driving the behavior. So that's the work, is getting in touch with what's driving my behavior, what's creating my life that I'm not even aware that's creating my life. Sure, and then there's a lot of systemic issues that we could talk about, capitalism, exploitation, and social political conflict. All of that is creating my life too. And there's this other internal realm of what am I doing to create my life that I can actually change and impact. We can impact the greater world. We can take part in politics and all of that. But an often overlooked opportunity is to find out, what am I doing to sabotage my own well-being? Because that's the faster track to a better life, is to take responsibility for my own impact on my life and create a better life for myself very quickly, so that then I can serve and create a better world for people around me, both on an internal and an external scale. So what I'm here to offer is that when we get clear on our internal experience, to understand how our psyche and our body-mind is all coming together to impact our reality, then we can start changing our reality by getting more aligned with what's going on inside of us. And we can be of better service to people around us because we've got our insides all more figured out. And there's not this corruption and lack of authenticity. And a final note about social media. So I watched The Social Dilemma and became very disturbed and thought in this individualistic way, I need to get off of Facebook. I need to get off of Instagram. I need to not conform and consent to this exploitation of humanity. And when I contemplated that, I came up with this system where I would just have an email list and draw people to my blog and communicate more individually. But then I realized that that is one of the fundamental problems, that we think individualistically about our social problems, because we don't have a good social, we don't have a union, we don't have a community that can change our world effectively. So all we can do is our individual change and our individual choice. So it's like, well, I'm not going to eat meat, or I'm going to not use plastic, or I'm going to live sustainably, and that's all I can do, which makes sense. But at the bigger level, it doesn't really make that much impact. And it maybe even makes less impact because we are satisfied with our own individual thing. And I can speak for myself. If I believe that all I can do is what I can do, then I give up on trying to change the bigger system. So if I get off of Facebook and if I have my own personal little social network, that doesn't impact the injustice that's happening on Facebook at large or Google at large. And so I've reversed my stance, that part of why I'm doing this is to use the platform to change the platform. Use technology to change society. And we'll see. I have no idea. But if you can reach one, teach one. If I spoke to you, thank you for being open and receiving what I have to share. And go ahead and share it and do the thing where share yourself. Whether it's sharing what shaped you about this video or sharing your own truth in your own video, what I've given you is yours to share in whatever way works for you, whatever way serves you. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.